couple weeks ago, BG was preaching for us, and he opened with advice. Good advice for all preachers. Remember what it was, BG?
Yeah, it's about sermons, and if the sermon can't be good, at least it can be short.
All right. That's our pact today. Good, we'll be short. It has been 3 years since the last major election in this country. Does anyone feel more than 3 years older? Man, boy, why didn't you have the camera looking over here? Because there were some eye rolls and some whooshes and all this. Yeah, don't worry. We're not talking about politics this week. We're not talking about our politics this week, but thank you. But Rome was the Washington, D.C. of the ancient world. And we're going to talk about that. But we're going to take a step back, little by little, more than 3 years ago. We're going to go 22 years back. Young Hansen, with a big ponytail and a big backpack, wandering around Europe. I had taken a night train from Munich down to Rome. We had a little sleeping cabin, but no one was sleeping because we were just all talking young college students on the run. We watched the almost full moon. Like you'd go along in the train, and then the Alps would cover it, and then it'd come out again. And the Alps would cover it, and it'd come out again. So we get to Rome, and you're energized. I had a goal. I wanted to see the Colosseum, so I didn't want to go sleep somewhere. I get out of the train station, and the police in Rome back then, they have these huge guns, which I wasn't used to at the time. And so I walk over, and a lot of the homeless people are waking up on the street, so I find a cheap hostel, I put my bag in there, and I'm ready for an adventure. I wanted to see the Colosseum more than anything else in all of Europe. A few days ago, I had been to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, which was great. You see all of his portraits and the ear and all kinds of good stuff. A couple days later, I would be in Paris. I'd go see the Eiffel Tower. In this trip, I got to see the Last Supper painting. I mean, a lot of cool stuff I got to see, but the Colosseum was number one on my list. But I was tired of sitting. I was tired of just being there, so I wasn't going to take a bus. So when all the tourists went to the bus over there, I looked at the map and I said, well, I can just walk that way, I think. I think I can just walk that. I might get lost, but I'm just going to walk that way and follow the map. So I took off. I took off across these little Roman neighborhoods. I mean, it was a city, but if you've been there, you know it's really just a bunch of little neighborhoods connected together with the piazzas and the fountains, and there's in the morning, the little Fiats are moving around and honking at each other, and everyone's using their hands as they talk. At the end of the road, the map said I was getting close. There was a little, I guess you'd call it a pocket park now. It's a little open space, and the little Roman children were playing soccer, of course, and they're playing soccer, and on the other side of this field they had created was a big pile of trees, and I'm looking at the map thinking, well, it's like it's supposed to be right here. This is not the Colosseum. Later I had been to London, and I went to look for the Bastille, and no one told me at 19 years old that the Bastille had been knocked down like 200 years ago. So I went to Bastille Square, and I'm looking around for the Bastille, and it's gone. So maybe the Colosseum was gone. So I walk through that soccer field, and I get to the trees, and I find a path with a few little steps, and I go to walk on those steps, and then I look up, and there it was. Not where the tourists normally see it. There's roads over there where all the tourists go, and all the ruins are on the other side. I was on this hill, almost to the top of it. It's the other side. You always see the pictures where it's crumbling here, and there's walls over here, and I was back here looking down into the Colosseum. It was beautiful. It was a wow moment. It was everything I hoped for, wandering around Europe. If I closed my eyes, I could hear the chariots going around 2,000 years ago. And if you pictured it, before the crumbling happened, you could hear those sounds of the gladiators' swords and the lions roaring and the crowds cheering. And if you're really creative, and if eventually you'd seen the movie Gladiator, you know that there was a Caesar in there with power of thumbs up, thumbs down, life or death. 2,000 years ago, people right in that building loved carnage. They loved drama. They loved viciousness. They loved chaos in the arena and in their halls of power. 2,000 years ago, some people loved what the emperors could do, their ability, on one hand, to help so many lives and to give freedom and to give grace. And other people, they hated what emperors did do. The scandals, the abuses, the lies, the brokenness, the selfishness. For people whose lives then were merely pawns to politicians, life wasn't fun. The chaos was stressful. The drama more than death. The carnage in the arena, but also just in regular life. It was too much. How could they trust a world full of peace and hope and love when the whole world seemed to be moving toward violence and despair and anger? For some of us, the question remains exactly the same. Carnage is too much in the world and in our homes. In their capital, it was one nightmare after another. In our capital, in their lives, well, she got sick and he left and they keep attacking me and I can't handle it anymore. In our lives, some of us have said the same thing. When ancient Romans walked that same path that I did, and maybe in those days it wasn't pocket parks and piazzas, but they walked those paths, and they walked and left the Colosseum, past the trees, through the parks, back to their neighborhoods. There were powers trying to pull them apart. There were powers then that fought against peace, pulled against joy, ripped them away from serenity. And right there, with threats in every direction, from above and below, from inside and outside, Paul writes to his Roman friends, and he says, hey, nothing can erase God's love in your life. Powerful tyrants, yeah, they're out there. Nothing can overturn God's love. Sickness, we all face it in our families. Death can't even overcome God's love. Little things, big things, neither your past nor the spears of your future, nothing can separate you from the love that makes the world go round. So hold on to that light. Let it shine. Even in the darkness that does surround you, and heaven knows it will continue to surround you. Even then, especially then, hold on to God's good news that light is brighter than any darkness, that God is stronger than any pain, and hope is more lasting than any chaos. And that's the good news to Rome. It is now the good news from Rome.